Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WP Watercooler, episode number 292. Wow, we're getting close to 300, guys.
We are. Look at that.
Almost 300.
Ready to take on the Persian Empire.
Right? Speaking of which, let's go around the room real quick. George, Persian Empire, tell us about yourself.
It's okay. It'll be real quick. It's just three of us. Hi, I'm George Stefanis. I work on Jetpack by day, and I like building shinies.
Nice. Good to have you on. Steve, what about you?
Hi, I'm Steve Zengin. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress meetup.
Awesome. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog. Yeah, .blog this time. And I did a show yesterday with Bridget over on WPblab. You can go take a look at that, wpwatercooler.com/WPblab. We talked about cold calling the WordPress way. It was a very interesting episode, and you should definitely go take a look at it. We had a great time.
Wait, cold calling? Like calling leads?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much it absolutely sucks when people like call you on the phone and go like, "Hey, I want to sell you a printer." And yeah.
But how would
hate
that
it.
be
I
word
hate it.
for I mean, like when a hosting company messages you out of the blue asking if they can do a guest post on your blog?
Yes, that type of thing. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, the short answer is don't.
What about you, Steve? Did you ever do any of that?
I have, and I absolutely hate it. Chris Lemon and I talk about this all the time, right? Cold calling is a necessary part of what I do, right? I am a biz dev, right? So I run biz dev for Zeek as well as owning the company. And so I have to make calls, and I hate getting calls. So I always feel bad making calls, right? It's just, right? Here's the thing. I've got something of value that people need, right? I hate calling people when they're in the middle of their day, right? It sucks. I like warm calls, right? I like when somebody's made an intro or somebody knows that I'm calling, right? Warm calls are fine. Cold calls are terrible.
Yeah. And I guess like the question I had for her, and maybe you guys could even answer this, is that when you're going to go and send off a referral to somebody else, that's as warm as you can get, right? I mean, this person is live and you're about ready to go send this referral off. I send it off to like one person. I'm like, "Hey, are you available to do this type of work? It sounds like it's a good fit for your company. What do you think?" And then you end up becoming essentially like the WordPress version of Angie's List, where you're like going around to all these people going, "Hey, are you interested in taking on this role? Hey, interested in taking this?" Because like, for instance, I wouldn't send Steve a $1,000 website. Like that's just why would I send you that? But I wouldn't want to send somebody who's a one-person shop a $500,000 website. There's you got to really know, if you're going to be that Angie's List type person, then you need to be the one that goes like, "Okay, let me vet this a little bit. Let me figure out, is this right for this person or not?" Yeah.
Yeah, and here's LinkedIn is perfect for cold calling, right? If I've got somebody that I want to make contact with, I'll go to LinkedIn.
I've heard someone say LinkedIn is perfect for fill in the blank.
Hey, I'll go to LinkedIn. I'll find who's connected to the person that I want to contact, and I'll ask for an introduction. Because then at that point, I'm not cold calling.
Right.
Theoretically. It's not freezing cold. It's more
a lukewarm call.
It's a lukewarm call at that point. Yeah. So I want to talk about something that we were talking about during the pre-show, and George, I want to get your take on this. So I get these emails regularly because I have plugins in the plugin repository that I've contributed to, right? Mm-hmm. And I got this email this morning. WordPress 5.0 is imminent! ! Right? Are your plugins ready? Right, and it's a template that's been around for a while, but I take issue with this word, imminent. Right, I know what the word means. Right, it just means that it's about to happen. But the only other time imminent is used is before the word danger. That's the only other time you hear somebody use that word, right? It's kind of meant to strike fear, but with all the news circling around Gutenberg and WordPress 5.0, using the word imminent probably isn't the best choice right now.
Yeah, you could be right there, but I mean, let's face it, it is coming soon, and it has been a while since a major release.
Right, but it's not scary.
So something to keep people off their laurels and say, "Hey, no, actually sit up and pay attention to this." I can kind of understand why they're still going with it, but because I mean, the release date is now what, mid to late November?
Is it?
Yeah, I think.
But my question for you regarding that was like, do you think it's because of the fact that it's a word that is easily translatable that doesn't get lost in translation by using such a very specific word like that, like intimate?
To me, it's odd. I think the word needs to be changed specifically for this release, right? Because I don't need more fear around this release. I've already got enough. So anyway,
I just saw that one. I was like, whoa, yeah, that is a trip. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
It sounds like something you'd hear in the trailer for an action movie, right? Like the next Die Hard movie, right? Yes, like the next War of the Worlds type of movie.
In a world.
In a world.
But what happens if everything goes just fine and it was intimate, but was it like, did it just, it's like dun dun, that did it have that same connotation or not? I don't know.
Was that dun dun like the beginning of Law and Order?
Doink doink. Doink doink.
Doink doink.
The doink doink.
Again, all the word means, the word is totally innocent. All it means is about to happen, right? That's all the word means. And I know this because I looked it up. I mean, I knew what the word meant. I just wanted to find out the actual.
You're saying the word is not guilty; it's innocent.
Yeah, all the word means is about to happen, but the word itself just kind of strikes fear. That's all. I don't know if any of the copywriters on the WordPress team are listening to this. Just change the template. That's all I'm asking.
What word would you suggest?
Coming soon, right? Something kind of innocuous, right?
The guy digging. Let's have the guy digging, like a little gif of the guy digging.
And a dancing baby.
Coming soon doesn't really imply the same level of no,
fear?
Seriously, it's actually time to do the thing.
About to launch?
Yeah, that's good. That's good too.
Yeah, there has to be something. There has to be another one.
How about
can you like call people and ask them for suggestions?
How about WordPress 5.0 is going to break all your shit? So get on it. How's that for a title? That's Steve's version of copywriting.
No,
I'm actually really excited.
I'm kidding. I'm just joking.
What are you excited about, George?
I'm really excited about Gutenberg and a lot of the stuff that is opening up. There's a lot of implementation stuff that, I mean, I've been watching closely a lot of the thought and care that's been going into how it's being rolled out and the decisions that are being made. And yes, it is a pain to learn how to create blocks. There are tutorials that can help you do it, but there's a lot of really cool user interfaces you can do, and it'll make it much easier to finally get rid of those damn shortcodes that no user likes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. Look, hey, I think the stuff that I've seen so far is great. Is it really that hard to build a block if you're a developer?
It depends, because you need to do some JavaScript.
Okay.
Well,
Matt told us all to learn it like 4 years ago. He said, "Look
deeply."
Right. So if you didn't consider that imminent, then that's on you.
What if you just learned it shallowly? Is there?
Yeah.
I think learning JavaScript shallowly is how a lot of us started.
Right.
I think a lot of people didn't learn JavaScript originally; they learned jQuery.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of like basic language stuff that they just learned the jQuery shortcuts for instead, which isn't the healthiest way to learn something, but I mean, it gets the job done for the moment.
Yeah, it's easy mode.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with jQuery. I like it.
Yeah.
But there's been a trend. There's been definitely a trend over the last few years that shifted back to more vanilla JavaScript, right? Because jQuery, you're loading a bunch of libraries that most likely you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
To do something simple.
Yeah. I don't know. I did my first my first Beaver Builder module recently, and it was pretty dang simple. I mean, you just find some boilerplate setup of it and go, okay, I'll just throw some things in here. I wasn't like I was doing anything complicated. It's just the user that's going to be using this thing and dragging those modules around just needed something simple to have happen. So there's a little bit of JavaScript involved. There's a little bit of this and that involved, but overall, it's not too bad.
But they give it to you. Like they give you the whole framework. Like they give you a couple of great samples that you could really just go in and change a couple of words, and you've got your Beaver Builder module.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's just whatever the output was, and then what are the values I need to shove in there to make the output work, and it was pretty simple.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people can get scared off by some of the new Gutenberg Reacty stuff because you see the new JSX syntax, which looks like you're just dropping HTML tags in your JavaScript, and you're just like, what? How can this possibly work? And you need to go through some transpilers to actually build that into JavaScript that browsers can run. But I mean, if you're writing a lot of stuff, it makes it a lot easier to write. But you don't need to do that. You can just write classic JavaScript syntax with function calls instead of crazy XML in your JavaScript. But a lot of examples don't include that, so folks don't realize that no, it could be a lot simpler by being more complicated.
So let's get geeky for a minute, right? So I don't know React and I don't know Vue, right? My developers know both, and they love Vue versus React because it's a lot easier to code, right? That's what I hear. I'm not speaking from experience, right? Because Gutenberg and or WordPress, right, started with React and they've gone sort of down the React road, right? And that's what they're using now. Is it? Have we gone through another technology cycle? Now because Gutenberg took so long to get out that now we're all stuck with React. I know it's kind of a setup question, but
honestly, I saw a lot of the internal discussions and the external discussions, really, because a lot of it was in the public about React versus Vue versus Preact versus vanilla JavaScript before all happening around the time when they were having the React licensing questions. And really, everything came down, every real objection from folks that looked super closely at the technical capabilities, at the communities, at the backing. The only real objection to React was licensing. And when we said, no, we can't do it because of the licensing, Facebook then finally said, oh, snap, we are going to change the licensing. But Vue is a great library. They're doing different things in different ways. And for our purposes, and especially with things like React Mobile, there is more extensibility and more ability to use it in a variety of environments that'll make life much easier in the long run, as well as a greater library of more components and a richer ecosystem.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, at the time, my major hesitation to, and this was like a year and change ago, was my major hesitation to like officially choosing React or something was it felt like there was a lot of people that were pushing for Vue, but I didn't really understand the reasons for each. I've done what research I could into both of them, and in the end, they're both libraries, and React isn't that hard. It takes a little bit longer to get started just because of the JSX syntax with like the XML or writing XML in that. But once you're in there, there's a lot more stability.
Okay.
It's a bit more buy-in, and really that's not something WordPress has been good about in the past. We generally choose the path of least resistance for the moment and then leave technical debt down the road. So it was kind of refreshing to see this more considered thing that should be paying much more dividends long run than just, hey, let's throw in another underscore that will, and backbone that we're never going to be using it again after 2 years.
How are your guys approaching that, Steve? Like, I know everybody's all excited about it and stuff, but how are you as the person, running the company and everything, hearing, oh, this is the type of technology you want to use? Are we okay with using it? And how should we approach this, using this technology? How are you looking at that?
I have guys on my team that have done both, right? I have Calvin, who comes from a pretty deep React background, right? And it's a language that he knows deeply, for lack of a better term, right? And then I have Jacob and Aaron who really love Vue, and they love it because it's more rapid development. That's the easiest way I can describe it, right? Again, I'm only speaking from what I hear because I don't have a lot of experience with either of these languages, right? I've scratched the surface on Vue, and it was pretty straightforward. And so, whatever's there, we're going to find a way to make it work, right? We've got the capabilities to make it work. We're just, we're in one of those periods where, you just have to understand multiple libraries because you don't know what, when you take on a project or you take on a platform, you don't know what they're going to be using, right? And everybody's using something different. And so we're just in one of those type areas where we kind of have to know both, right? From my guys have said, if they had their preference, they code in Vue. And so the things that we're coding from scratch, we're coding in Vue. And again, I can't give you a technical reason why, other than they find it quicker to code.
Yeah. And that could also be something playing into the scope of the projects they're working on, like a huge giant thing like Calypso, or not Calypso, Gutenberg, and any expansions it might make beyond just the post editor down the road may be a lot different than the front end of a site or a different size app in the back end.
Yep, totally get it.
And I guess you benefit, Steve, by being able to do both. That if a project already exists that has one or the other, you're okay with using one or the other.
We are, right, and we can also always make the case for refactoring, right? If something's gonna take longer in one platform than another, right? And that's what I worry about, or not worry, but that's what I get concerned about with WordPress settling on React, right? Is it the Bionic Man where we're gonna have to rebuild him later on down the line, right? I don't know. We will rebuild him. Wasn't that the tagline? we can rebuild him.
Well, I mean, look how long did we use TinyMCE? I mean, we used the hell out of that thing. I mean, that thing has
it's one of the main. It's what's actually driving the editor block in Gutenberg.
Yeah, and it is such a pain in the ass to extend, right? To work within TinyMCE is just hard.
But by itself, it has the same level of browser support as it.
Yeah, and it's gotten better, right? I mean, there's hooks where you can put your own custom buttons in. It's a pain in the ass. TinyMCE is very moody, right? Because one little issue that you introduce and you just break the editor. It's fun.
And it has to work with all the other things that are attempting to break the editor as well. So
well, especially if you have something like advanced TinyMCE, whatever that plugin is. There's like a TinyMCE extended plugin.
It's right? Like more kitchen sink.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Right, where you can add a whole bunch of stuff. Right, try having that plugin active and then making a customization to TinyMCE. That's a fun weekend right there.
I mean, as long as your optimization, as long as your changes are fairly basic, it's probably not going to destroy anything. Like if you're just adding a button that will insert a snippet of text in there or wrap something in something or other. And I will say that having done both now, I think that building React blocks is easier for Gutenberg. It's easier than creating shortcode views for TinyMCE.
Oh, wow.
Like the visual shortcode thing.
I would imagine that would be the case because anything's easier than creating those shortcodes for TinyMCE.
I mean, that was something that had come out like I think 3-4 years ago, and there was some buy-in from the community, but not that much. And I think that if that had really taken off, we could have maybe had a couple more years out of what we already had. But
and just so the audience knows, right? For those who don't know, TinyMCE is not a WordPress product, right? That's something that was brought in. It's an external library that was brought in. I just put it in the link for you there for the show notes.
I looked and I was like, oh wow, TinyMCE Advanced. It only has 2 million installations, so it's not that big of a deal. You know, it's whatever. You know.
Yeah, no, Tiny
is an external product. It is also something that the WordPress community has been actively working with the developers on, and they have been throwing in and helping us with stuff. So there's a lot of back and forth.
It is its own open source project, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, as they should. Anybody who's using someone else's library, if you're applying changes to it or wanting to improve that product, yeah, definitely make sure that you're kind of going back to the main source and saying, hey, by the way, we wrote all this cool stuff. Hopefully, the other people that are using this project will also be able to benefit from it.
I'm on the TinyMCE site, and the little chat box came up to see if they can help me with anything. Should I ask them anything while we're online here?
On the spot, dude.
Yeah, those chat boxes crack me up when you go to a website and they just pop right up. Hi, welcome to the site. I know it's just a bot on the other end. There's nobody there.
No. If you message them, it will actually connect you to a real person.
I know. Stop. TinyMCE
right.
probably.
Hi, I'm anti-joke chicken. You may know this. But interesting thing about those little chat boxes, a friend of mine used to install those on their dev sites when they were building something out. So if they linked the client to it, that the client was poking around the website, they could actually get a display of what the client is clicking on, what they're doing, things that they could message the client as they're browsing the site, which was kind of a clever idea.
That's a good idea. What I know we're covering a lot of topics here, but what is your go-to chat box technology? Do you have one? Either of you?
Nope.
No. I mean, the one that's the big one is Intercom. That's the one that I've heard quite a few people use, and we actually some of the churches in the area near where I live actually use Intercom on their sites as a way of being able to interact with people that go to the website and go like, I don't know how to click on things. When are the times on Sunday? And then they ask the question, and then you have a response that automatically goes like time Sunday. Oh, okay, and then it just spits out like a nice little block of text that's pretty much a copy and paste off the website of here's exactly what it is you're trying to do.
Yeah. Intercom, I've definitely heard of it. What was the other one? The other big one that starts with an S. I don't know why I'm spacing on this.
Is it Speaker?
No. It'll come to me. Yeah, it'll come to me. Anyway.
Zopum, Slack.
No.
There
I
are
can't find it right now.
Chatbox, Zapier, Zendesk. Looks like there are actual ones that will integrate with Slack. So if someone messages, it pops up in Slack, so you can just reply to it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which has got to be better than using some third-party application that.
My friend Adam Silver just texted me because he must be watching the show, and he reminded me it's Drift. That's the one I'm thinking of. Drift. It's not
Drift.
Drift. That's the one that a lot of people that I know are using.
Also known as that thing you do while playing Mario Kart.
Drift. Right. Yeah. So Drift is a good one, and these are all pretty easy to integrate into your website. What else can we talk? What other random things can we talk about today, Jason?
I don't know. Like I went over to one of the local churches and went to their site and clicked on their Intercom thing, and I asked it like, what are the times this Sunday? And then it says like, we'll reply within 5 minutes, and it says, we're happy to reach you. Here's your email address or text message. Let us know. It's like they're trying to scoop data, and then finally it's like, oh, by the time, service times. Here's the times with when these are happening, and no one had to do anything. But the developer of the site was the one that his name shows up, so it shows he's the one that's replying to everybody. So it makes it look like he's he has all the answers. So if you want to look like you have all the answers, yeah, check out one of those.
AI does have all the answers.
Right. All it has to do is do a little bit of parsing, a little bit of a regular expression, and there you go.
Sweet.
And there you go. To quote My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
So what are we? a couple of episodes ago, we were talking about Drupal with Gutenberg. Have you guys heard anything from that? I know that there's like DrupalGutenberg.org that kind of gives you an understanding of here's how Gutenberg works on on Drupal. Have you guys heard any more about that?
I think it was what, Drupalenberg? No.
There's like probably 9 versions of like the amalgamation of those 2 words. But you haven't heard anything since?
Not hugely, but I mean, there's not been that much huge amounts of stuff. So,
when are they going to put Gutenberg into GeoCities?
Ooh, that would be.
Now we're talking, right? Yeah,
MySpace.
Finally.
Just wait till they put it into Classic Press.
But do you have to wait 10 years for that to happen? It needs to be classic before you could actually do it, right?
Classic cars are 20 years old, so
20 years. Okay, well, they can wait 20 years, and then they'll finally get rid of links, so you won't have the link roll on there anymore. And then,
if our new project to change into a block editor is called Gutenberg, will the next one be called like Tim Berners-Lee or something?
Right.
If classic cars are 20 years old, does that mean that 1998 models of certain cars are now classic? Should be considered
my
classic?
friend, you know this as well as I do, that all of our music is now being played on all the classic rock stations.
Hey, listen, when I hear Soft Cell on KEarth 101, I know.
You're like, oh crap, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Does that happen to you over there, George, where you start hearing music from back in your day, and then you're hearing it on the radio, and you're like, oh my god, like why is the classic rock station playing? Like Steve said, like Soft Cell or something like that.
How old do you think I am?
No, but I'm just saying, are you getting to that
20?
point? Are you getting to that point yet?
Why would you think I'm 20?
Are you in your 20s? You're at least somewhat classic, George.
I am 34.
That's what I'm saying. You're getting to that point now.
The music you were listening to at 14 is now classic. So there you go. All of your new kids on the block, what have you? It's all classic now. George is tuned us out.
George,
he's back to whittling.
He's back to whittling. No, really, turn on the local radio station for just a minute and just go like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like my life is now considered classic. That's awesome. Great.
George, you're a classic.
Very, very humbling.
George is gone. He's on to the next thing. I mean, it's 2 minutes left. He's just phoning it in at this point.
I'm sorry, what? Yeah, I'm just exhausted. It's been a hell of a week.
I
hear you, dude.
Well, I mean, 5.0 is imminent, so I can imagine that you're burning the midnight oil.
Yeah, kind of. I've been working on the it's all developed out in the open anyway, so I can say anything I want on the Jetpack contact forms in Gutenberg block, which is all sorts of interesting because we're doing it as like nested blocks. So there's blocks inside blocks, and each field is a block inside the form block. And then you can also insert like paragraph blocks and image blocks in between the form fields, and then have everything render and turn out pretty on the front end almost. But it's a known issue, and I'm working on the right way of doing it fixed. But it gets complicated when a block has both inner HTML and inner blocks that both need to be rendered dynamic, and the block itself is dynamic. So it can get a bit finicky.
Yeah,
I'm lost.
That's okay.
Well, you're gonna have to tell us more about that once you launch it. I'm curious about it.
That'll be a fun demo. We can do a demo day. I can screen share.
Ooh, demo day.
Ooh, demo. We've never done a demo day on.
We have had Leo on actually do a full blown presentation over two episodes. So yeah, we should definitely do a demo day after it's launched.
I'll pull a Bill O'Reilly and say, "Heck with it, we're doing it live."
Yep. And then you just pull out your red light and just kind of, okay, here's how this works.
Yeah, I don't think it's heck with it.
Jason, are you in the church right now, or are you at home?
No, he's at home.
Oh, so I can curse?
Yeah, you
nice.
can say anything you want, dude.
Oh, look at the time.
Oh.
Oh, man. Well, thank you all for being on the show. Appreciate it. Go over to our website, WPwatercooler.com/subscribe. We can figure out how to subscribe to all this stuff. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.